Welcome to our international podcast, folks. Below the belt. Who vex lose? Who vex? Good to see Siobhan McDonald. First up. Siobhan says it's 72 degrees in New Jersey. Wow. She says she's having a three-piece stew. Is it? Am I reading it right? A three-piece stew with rice. Wow, that looks sounds delicious. I could use some of that. You could use some of that. You got your little starch and even some proteins, I think, from beans and so on. Yep. Best good afternoon to you as well. Romy Leander, we see you there. Romy Leander has joined us. Let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear, guys. Please do let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear. What do you guys say? Receive us loud and clear? Let us know if you are receiving us loud and clear. Nothing less will do. Good to have each and every one of you join us. And I do have my co-host, Adrita Fernandez, who's here. She's going to join us in just a little bit. She's finishing up some Chinese food. Yep. Some Chinese food from Golden Pagoda in Durban Street. Yep. Good to have you folks here. Great to have you folks here. Good to have each and every one of you folks. Good to have you guys.
That is so correct. I am here, guys. I am with you. I am in the house. Very interesting discussion is going to be coming along as we head into the weekend. We like to bring the specialists on board when we are discussing certain matters. And who else, as you see there on any issues with oil and gas, who else is best suited to actually speak on that matter than the big man himself, Dr. Vincent Adams. Dr. Vincent Adams, the guy that was removed from the EPA because they don't want experts there, He was the chosen person, the cream of the crop when it comes to the Obama administration there in the US. He did his work, very technical and sound. But when they got into office, they can't handle that, so they removed him.
You don't like those things. You don't like technical experts. We saw the same happening at the extractive industry transparency body there, the EITI. We saw that. They removed Dr. Rudy Jadapat. We saw them remove Dr. Rudy Jadapat, and they put in a hack. They put in a political hack in Premazir, propagandist Premazir. And they did the same thing to the Environmental Protection Agency by replacing it. Another hack. Don't know one thing what they're doing. We're happy to have the man who understands the industry, man who understands it. He's going to be joining us shortly, Dr. Vincent Adams. So you will please, guys, give us the latitude. We know that Friday is usually open mic Friday, but allow us for a little season to talk with Dr. Vincent Adams so as to ventilate some of the issues that are affecting the oil and gas industry. And there are many folks. There are many. We're so happy that you lovely folks are here with us. And Crystal Simon, good to have you. And Magnell Barrow says she's joining. Crystal rather says she's joining from Linden. And Magnell says it's her birthday. So happy birthday, Magnell Barrow. She says she's cooking up a storm. You know what I mean? Huh? You got this like a 5-course. It's appetizer, it's pre-main course, it's main course, it's pre-dessert and dessert. Big things going on in Magnell's kitchen at this hour. Send a little thing for me, Magnell. Send a little taste for us. Good to have you aboard nonetheless on this. What is this? It's Friday, the third day. That's what's going for. The third day of June. Friday, the third day of June, guys. And we're so happy that all of you guys are here with us. We would have it no other way. I don't know if Charita would have it any other way, but certainly, I don't want to have it any other way. Guys, thanks for joining our podcast. Pace and power, boots on the ground. Smash that emoji button for us. That's going to do us a world of good in enabling others to get valid and credible information. You see, when you smash that button there, when you share the live stream, guys, the algorithm for the post, the podcast, everything goes up, and it goes into all of some other feeds on Facebook, and people get the information that they would not have gotten otherwise. Thanks to you, beautiful folks. So thank you for sharing the live stream and smash that emoji button, folks. I see Shanet Sichuran Mohan is here, and we're so grateful Shanet is here. We're so grateful. Candy Lean and Jajit is here as well. Oh, we are so happy that some of our favorite folks have turned up. I see Sukchan Sudhari. Let's start talking. Sukchan Sudhari is here, and Jean Williams says Brooklyn is in the house. Good afternoon, Brooklyn. Urban Don Cook is here too, and Glycis Mingo and Loretta Argyle. All of our favorite beautiful people. Love having you guys here. We come for y'all. We didn't even come for talk the things we talk about. We come for y'all because we know there is a community of people here who care about us as much as we care about them. We're so happy that you guys are here. We're so happy that you wonderful, beautiful folks are here. We will actually have it no other way. So happy that you lovely folks are here. Pace and power, boots on the ground, not sideways. It hang up in the air. It's on the ground, and we're backing down. Good to have you lovely, beautiful folks. How have you guys been? How is Friday doing? I hope you guys plan to be gentle with yourselves over this weekend, guys. I got to pick up on my exercise, got to pick up on some reading. How is it going at your end, folks? Beautiful folks, beautiful folks, beautiful people. How is it going by your end? How is it going? It's a fantastic, fantabulous Friday, Marilyn Thomas, Gladstone Matthews, again. We're going to be talking with the one and only Vincent Adams, Dr. Vincent Adams. This man is a specialist in petroleum engineering, specialist in the oil and gas sector, PhD, study for it. Right? He ain't buying book like some people. He ain't buying the certificate like some people. Right? And I don't say that in a braggadocious way. It's just what it is.
That is so correct.
It's just what it is.
We have been having quite a few discussions with Dr. Adams, and he has been breaking it down for everyone to understand quite clearly what is going on in the oil and gas sector, and specifically what is not going on there. A lot of things that have been skipped, where the resources are being directed, and especially when it comes to the EIAs and so forth, the environmental impact assessments that they have been getting away from at every level as much as they possibly can, and they have been running away from that. Dr. Adams have been calling them out and putting them to task with this altogether. And guys, he is the expert. If you're hearing anything crashing in the background, it is Mr. Duncan. It is not me.
Oh boy, I feel it.
Old age.
Clumsy. So he's worth his salt. Now, this is a gentleman who is worth his salt. And again, folks, we don't say it in a braggadocious way. The facts are the facts. The man knows the issues of oil and gas at the back of his head. He has studied the thing. You got some little PR person went to some little university, some part of the world the other day for 2 mornings, come and sit down. He thinks he's an expert in oil and gas. Look, I have several seats. Don't only have one. Just come back from someplace. Oil and gas, and you think he's the expert. This guy is the real deal, folks. And we're going to be talking with him shortly on some issues in oil and gas. Talking about the PPP, talking about the LIZA One Destiny, and what's been happening with that. Recently in a deal for the next 5 years. We're going to talk a little about that, among some other issues. Trina, what else is happening out there? What else is happening out there, Trina?
Well, I think there's too much happening out there right now. Chaos on our roadways, road carnage continues, as it pertains to matters that have been affecting us in every single region, things like domestic violence, not getting better right now. We have the issues with the bees attack and that killed the fishermen in West Coast. Berbice is there, very, 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 very serious matters altogether, guys. Winston Jordan case being reassigned for the 3rd time. It is so much going on. They're running around like headless chickens right now. And to add to that, persons with the Frank Anthony is now asking persons with flu-like symptoms to get tested for COVID-19. They are all over the place. There's no bit of consistency in the way in which they have been managing the affairs of our country. And there's poor hope for us when it comes to the working class and ordinary Guyanese altogether in this country under the PPP administration. That's the facts. I mean, if you have evidence of otherwise, I always invite you to just send us those bit of information. But as it is right now, everything that is circulating in the public sphere shows that they have no interest in democracy, no interest in good governance, no interest at all in accountability and transparency.
Yep. Facts are better than dreams.
That is correct.
Facts are better than dreams. What else? Anything else that we should be aware of? I heard your party got some elections coming up. Your party,
Yeah.
that is how my sister and I refer to her mom. If she sings, she said, "Your mother." If I talk in, your mother say.
Yeah. Well, the Alliance for Change has its internal elections coming up the 11th of June, which is next Saturday. The 11th of June would be the national conference of the Alliance for Change. At that election, leader, chairman, vice chairman, and general secretary. Those are the four top positions that are elected, and also 12 executive members are elected also for the Alliance for Change.
You running?
Yeah, thereafter, if I'm running.
You running? In the gym? National park?
Well, I have been elected for a few positions.
You have been nominated?
I have been nominated for a few positions.
Or you've been prophetic?
Yeah, I am trying to, let me pick my words very carefully right now. I have been nominated. The nomination process was closed. That process closed off on Monday. I have been nominated for 3 positions, so more than likely.
Lucky you.
Wherever.
Congratulations.
Wherever people think they put their trust and their faith. We try to do the best to our ability to represent the people of this country, because at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily take a seat. You just have to get up and get the work done.
Good. Congratulations. I'm so happy. Yeah. I'm similar to you. I've been nominated for a couple of posts, and I think we have some great people. We got a great list of nominees, and
the liberal democracy of the Alliance for Change is something that I'm extremely proud of.
That word in trouble. That phraseology, liberal democracy gets us in trouble.
Yes, it does.
Sometimes we're a little too liberal,
Yeah, but with all of that, it's absolutely necessary for us to hold that line. And Alliance for Change has been doing it for quite some time. A lot of people don't agree with that level of democracy, especially when we're in a country, especially with the current administration, for example. They are so stringent in their ways. It's almost as though it's dictatorial in nature. Who makes a decision? One person at the top just controlling everything. The Alliance for Change is not like that.
No, we don't have appointees and selectees.
No.
Right? You got to go to the people.
The Alliance for Change always takes a decision to the polls. Yes. And even with the members of parliament, that was an election, an internal election also, to decide who sits as members of parliament. So here we go to another process of elections internally, and most definitely the choice resides with the people, with those delegates on the 11th.
Fantastic. But we wish everybody well. Wish you well too, Twitter, whatever your pursuits. I know you can't hold 3 posts, but or quite a few. Right? Unless you're like them boys in there. They said you want GS, you want lead the party, you want everything all you want. You want mayor, you want vice president, you want president.
Most definitely not. I think when it comes to those things, I always believe that you don't put square pegs in round holes, and because of that, persons should only bite off as much as they can chew. And it's always comes down to what's in the best interest of the party, and not one specific person or one specific grouping of people. It's in the best interest of the party. And more specifically right now, we're at a point in our nation that we have a huge challenge ahead of us in dealing with the People's Progressive Party as is right now. So we definitely need to put persons that are capable of handling those situations, put them to task. A lot of work to be done in politics in Guyana.
And you know what? Before we turn to our guests, before we invite our guests in, we've been running a poll, because one of the things that have been very topical of recent is the whole question of the Alliance for Change coming out of the coalition. That's one of the important questions of the day that's being asked. And I've had a lot of people who've messaged me and said, "Don't you dare, MS," and I mean medical service. Don't you dare, MS.
Well, the whole
That's not
thing
even my
is,
that's not even my
when
initials.
it comes to those specific matters, I'm going to say that the decision lies with the membership
Correct.
of the party,
Correct.
and the membership of the party, political parties. Like I said, one of the things that we are profoundly proud of as members of the Alliance of Change is the liberal democracy that the party
Correct.
practices, and because of that, it is the membership of the party that that decision is going to be left with, and the deliberations would be had and in full and all of that, what is in the best interest of the party, and more so, more importantly, what the party looks to position itself to represent the people of
Mm-hmm.
Guyana in the best way it possibly can. So that is the standpoint from which
Yeah,
I
yeah,
will be going into those discussions.
yeah, yeah. And we put the question to the public here because the success or failure of the Alliance to Change rests with the people. It's about people.
Hmm.
Politics is about people, and
Yeah,
overwhelmingly, persons have responded that we should not, the Alliance for Change should not leave the coalition. But we'll see what happens with the party when the party decides its own future in a couple of days. But strong leadership, steady leadership is needed in the new dispensation.
that is correct. That is correct.
Yep.
But very exciting. I can see
Very
internal
exciting
elections
times.
bring a lot of vigor and all of that.
Very
So,
exciting. I think we're
persons-
doing some cartwheels right now. Backflip a little bit.
internal elections bring
Yeah.
a lot of vigor and but again, the task at hand, I want to go back to that. The seriousness of the task at hand is no light matter. We go into various communities and we see persons on the ground and the struggles that they are having. When it comes to the poor and working class of this country, the persons
Yes.
that are most affected by what is going on, it's crazy for us to turn a blind eye to those situations. Persons are literally struggling and they're skipping meals according to polls and all of that. And when you see the gravity of the situation, the inhumane nature of the administration and the policy that they have been putting out there, the fact that they are continuing to put trickle down policies in place, knowing full well that those policies does not work, we have our work cut out for us because we have the literal lives of Guyanese to represent. We have to go out there and represent them at every nook and corner, every opportunity we have. It's very serious out here, extremely serious. I cannot begin to stress the importance of these elections as we move forward as a country.
Yep, I totally agree. Totally agree. Totally agree. And I'm seeing so many comments here about this issue. A lot of people got their own opinion on what should be done.
Yeah.
What should be done? The folks we've been privileged to poll suggest that we do not leave as a Alliance for Change the coalition. But again, as you so eloquently articulated, that is really and truly up to the party when they meet in a few days. But we want to give the person a chance to weigh into that. It's up to the party. Final analysis, the whole conclusion to the matter. Right? We'll know it next week. Next week, the 11th day of June. Yep. Good to see so many folks on the live, as we say. Robert Ryan is here and Robbie Leander. Kurt Paris is here. Kurt Heidekin, all the Kurt's here today. Glenford Gordon. Brenda Moore. Come on down. Good to see you, Brenda.
I'm following the comments, guys. You know that, especially during the podcast, I'm most capable of following the comments. When I'm doing a podcast, I have two computers in front of me, so you can follow very carefully.
Yeah, very much so.
So I am noting the comments that you're voicing your opinions there as to what you believe should be the direction and so forth, and we value each and every one of those feedback that you're giving us. Very, very important bits of information there, guys.
All right, we're gonna rock and come in now, if we can, with Dr. Vincent Adams. Folks, we're gonna bring him in virtually. So if you hear a little ringing there, forgive us if you hear a slight little thing. Some of you might need to hear because you went to school in the era of the boom boom bus, and you hear in the love in your house. So forgive us, please, and thank you.
Bus.
In the boom boom bus, as you hear, you just might hear a little ringing there. You just might hear a little ring, but I'm gonna if I can help it, I don't want you to have any of that at all. Not if I can help it. Might hear a little ringing. You hear that? I like the old phone ringing. Ching, ching.
That's when you had to pull it to the side.
Yeah.
Put it.
Dr. Vincent Adams, the one and only, sir. Welcome to the podcast. We below the belt.
Hey, good afternoon, Sharon. How are you doing, buddy?
I you sound more so vigorous and vibrant. Like I tried to say something now. So I think I could do. But you sung excellent, sir.
I,
Thanks for
I had a good sleep. I had a long sleep.
excellent, excellent. Where are you joining us from? We're just what asking for the benefit of
I
our
am
listeners.
as a matter of fact, well, I live in Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
but then I came all the way. My granddaughter
Mm-hmm.
is graduating from high school in Chicago, so I'm in Chicago
Oh
today
wow, you're
for the
traveling.
graduation.
You're traveling.
Yes,
Oh
yes,
my.
yes.
When
But
I
I would never miss your show for anything,
and we're
Sharon.
humbled by
So
that. We're so humbled by that. And when I get to your age, I want to be like you, man. Visiting the granddaughter here, visiting the grandson here. That's a good life. That's a good life, sir. Look. You said you live in Tennessee, and we love to mix this program up. Before we get into our subject matter, tell us a little bit about Tennessee. What enamored you to Tennessee?
well, Tennessee, there's a
I've
place
never been
called
to
Oak
Tennessee too,
Ridge.
so I might just have to pay a visit.
There's a place called Oak Ridge,
Uh
Tennessee,
huh.
which is on the eastern side,
That
and
sounds
it has
expensive.
one of the it is the government's largest weapon, nuclear weapons complex.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's the other thing about it is, when people hear about the Department of Energy, they think it's only energy, but we're the agency that, well, when I used to be the agency that are in charge of not only energy, but we also make all the nuclear weapons for the military, and we're the stewards of it. We manage it until they're ready to use it. But one of the biggest things that we're responsible for that most people don't even know, a lot of the politicians don't even know, is we are also responsible for science, developing science. All of the national research laboratories are under our purview. So Oak Ridge has all of those.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, Oak Ridge, Tennessee has, and that was one of the things that attracted me, has the highest number per capita of scientists, PhDs in science and engineering in the whole world per capita. It's like an
Wow.
island within Tennessee where you've got all the big. This is where who started up working the Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein was here.
Oh, I see. I
Um,
see.
yes. So that when we won the World War II, you remember when with the bomb, with the
Mm-hmm.
nuclear bomb.
Uh-huh.
This is
Uh-huh.
where it started. The Manhattan Project. This year it all started in Oak Ridge. So that's what attracted me to
Awesome.
Oak Ridge, is that science base. And you know what was interesting to Sharon?
Tell us, sir.
Many years ago, when I was just, I was just a hot shot scientist, came into the community and stuff like that. So there was an article on the front page of the local newspapers that they ran, and they were comparing the past scientists such as Albert Einstein, Oppenheimer, and those guys with the new scientists. And guess who was the new scientist featured on the front page? It was me as a representation of the
Wow.
modern scientists.
Wow. Wow.
Even
Wow.
though
Wow.
it was blasphemy to be mentioning me, in the same breath.
Yes.
But
Yes.
nevertheless, it was still it was still exciting to know that,
Fantastic. Well,
and an honor.
I'm just excited to visit Tennessee one day. Just
Yeah, oh,
excited.
absolutely. Anytime, Sharon. Anytime, just let me know here.
Yeah,
Well,
because I know you're visiting your
welcome
granddaughter
you here.
that particular week or weekend.
Oh, absolutely, no
And so,
question, no question, not at
great,
all.
great, fantastic. To the folks who are now joining us, welcome to the podcast. We're broadcasting from the national capital city of Georgetown in Guyana. We trust that you guys are great wherever around the world, you lovely folks listening to us. Hundreds of folks have tuned in to listen to our podcast. Today, it's 27 degrees outside where we are. They're telling us it's a 66% chance it's going to rain in Georgetown today. We hope you guys are dry and warm wherever around the world you are joining us from. What's the weather like in New York, Doc?
Well, I know about New York. I know about even Chicago, which is normally they call it the windy
Chicago, yeah.
city, is always cold.
Hmm.
Even New York is very, very warm. I'd have to do some conversion there for you, but I would say it's probably around 77 degrees Fahrenheit. What is that in? in centigrade 20 something, I guess.
You
But
see
it's
that?
warm, it's hot.
Well,
The
y'all
sun
know
is
we
shining
ain't good
from
with maths, eh? You know, we ain't good with maths. Julie's
Sure.
gonna do the quick calculation for us. 77 degrees Fahrenheit.
So
She's gonna let
I
us
was
know.
just going to say that I'm sure it speaks for himself with that.
27 degrees at this end, but they say
So,
weather.com tells us it feels like 33. But we're so happy to have you, Doc. Folks who are tuned in to us, please, you know what you gotta do. Share the damn live. Smash that emoji button for us. We're so happy to have Dr. Vincent Adams, your former head of the Environmental Protection Agency. And by any measure, Dr. Vincent Adams, as always, people have always said he has discharged those functions without fear or favor, affection, or ill will, you know. And the industry, those who want to do things their own way, were very afraid of Dr. Adams' presence there. And I know they love the other guy now because anything happens, which brings us to the point of our discussion today. Your contemporaries, Dr. Adams, who are in the oil and gas sector, they have said with this new LIZA dispensation, the new contract, you know, there should have been some tweaks in a major way to this contract before it was reissued for another 5 years. Tell us where you are, and then perhaps outline some of those issues for us, and maybe tell us where you are on those very issues.
Sure. Well, how long do you have? You have an entire
Well,
day, or because
we'll
there's
go
so
as long
many
as you can.
there's so many issues, Sharon.
Tell us about a
It's
couple of
just
the main ones.
it's mind-boggling. But nevertheless, to be honest, Sharon, and the audience, welcome, and I'm honored to be speaking to the broad Guyanese audience wherever you may be. Um, but to be honest, Sharon, I am not surprised, and I don't think anybody should be surprised because this is the modus operandi of the new government.
Hmm.
It's about money. And the one thing in all my, 4 or 5, close to 5 decades that I've been in environmental and petroleum and energy, the sector, the one, especially in the environment, the one fundamental value and principle of environmental stewardship is you never compromise your environment, health, and safety for money or
Hmm.
economics.
Hmm.
That's basic internationally. That's the international standard. It's totally different in Guyana. It's about money, and it doesn't matter what the risks are being posed
Hmm.
to the nation and the people's health and environment. So that's where we are today. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether we're breaking the laws. We even write laws, and the thing is, what really is galling is that the government brags about these new things that they're putting in place, but they never comply with them. They allow the Exxons of the world to just thumb their noses at it and then come up with all kinds of, con jobs and farce about
Hmm.
how they're, what they're doing. And the other thing is, Sharon, you know better than I do, the modus operandi
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
is is for the government realized, and I think Mr. Jagger is a master at this. You got to give him some credit. This here shall be the news of today and yesterday, and then you move on to something else. The people are going to forget. But thanks to people like yourself and many others in Guyana and internationally who are not letting it go. And so you guys are doing a wonderful job in terms of maintaining it. Now, the first thing is specifically to this Lisa one, here's something that a lot of people don't even realize, and I want it to be known here. The same person, Mr. Parsram, and this is nothing personal to Mr. Parsram. He's a nice guy, etc.
This is Kemraj
This was the
Prashram, the
same,
current
the current,
CEO of
the
EPA.
current head of the EPA.
Hmm.
He was the same guy who was there before I arrived
Hmm.
that signed the Lisa one.
hmm.
This is the same guy. He was there 2 years before I arrived. Okay, he signed the Lisa one. So people have to remember that. So here's a guy now who's asked to change the Lisa one, even though it didn't make a whole lot of a difference. But just to let you, when I arrived there, this is the same guy who was running the EPA, When I asked the staff, what is the problem in the EPA here? The things that came out every single time from everybody's mouth, well, they were dysfunctional agency. People came to work when they wanted to, when they left. We had, Sherrod, we had, I used to say, 1.5 vehicle that was roadworthy to travel the whole country to look at and do, inspect operations. When within a year, Sherrod, that was fixed. We had over 600 permits that had expired some over 15 years and nobody ever paid
Wow.
attention. The agent,
Wow.
I fixed that within a year. Well, not me, because I brought the entire staff and everybody. We became focused. I changed the whole discipline of the staff. They got committed. Within a year, Sharon, because I came there at the end of 2018. And of course, we had 2019 to work, and then of course, COVID came in 2020 in the election. So you've got to say we accomplished all of this within a year. We cleaned up that entire 600 permits and brought in all of that back money that were owed to us to the tune of about $150 million. When I left there after less than 2 years, Sharon, we had 8 brand new vehicles for people to go out into the fields.
Get the work
Sharon, we
done.
did not have, listen to this here now, Sharon, we had over 2,000 operations. We did not have a filing room, Sharon. We couldn't find permits, we couldn't find documents, nothing. It was scattered all over the place. We had to do a concerted sort. We started for people were bringing in their permits so that we can get copies and those type of things. We opened 2 brand new offices because everybody had to travel all the way from region 1, 8, 9. Didn't matter. They had to come to the headquarters. We opened 2 offices, one in on the quarantine, one in Linden, and the plan was to have an office in every region. I had obtained property already in Regina, in Madio.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to have an office in every single region, at least one by the end of 2022. So those are the we so when you hear, so this is the same person now who's running the agency, so you can see why we didn't have scientists and engineers at the agency. I went out and I hired 20. I increased the staff with top notch people.
That's good.
And
That's
then
good.
as soon as and they're all leaving. But the problem is, Sharon, they've all left. After I left, it became so politicized and so frustrating from them that the top performing people, the senior officers who were there for a long time, is either they got demoted, they got fired, or their salaries got reduced, or they left themselves because it became so frustrating. The guy who stood up, very bright young man who stood up to Exxon and was even taking Exxon to court, they got rid of him too. Right
Wow.
after I left, they got rid of him.
Wow. Who's
So
he? Uh-huh.
so it's to give Exxon its way. But so here are the things that they're bragging about that I need to in this new permit, specifically. Um, they brag about now they've added something that's called a project community grievance mechanism, which is a big farce, which I guess it says that anybody who's got, you and I and whoever, if you've got a complaint, you can file, you go, okay, file it with the agency. Now, how many thousands of complaints and questions were being asked of this agency? And yeah, I get calls all the time, even from the news media, saying that they don't understand what's going on there. When I was there, they had a free reign to, I gave them free whatever information they needed. I gave them. I
Mm-hmm.
was always accessible. Now the calls are not being even responded to. So now
The
this whole thing
morale of the
about,
staff seems to be very, very low. Spoke with a couple of folks there.
without question, there is no question. So how about responding to those for us rather than, but here again is this game of putting stuff that looks good. People go read it. Well, it's in there. It sounds good. You've got access to information. It ain't happening. Look, they just had it and for the gas the show project. You normally go around the where to the communities that are being affected.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Okay.
so they're running this pipeline through canal number 1, Crane. There was a lady even in the media with this lawyer lady, I think attorney Hughes. She's been frustrated. I think she lives over there at Canal Number One or Crane. They would not even have a meeting in those areas that are being impacted. The LIZA 2 startup, even right there in the permit, I wrote it into the permit because the LIZA 1, it was just a pathetic permit, to be honest. When I got there, I wrote the LIZA 2 permit, and the language that I wrote in there was they will have full liability. I've said this over and over, as you know, Sharon. Full liability coverage, and I mean $2 billion. They have to cover everything.
Yeah, because
Okay,
that was one of the
that was
contention with one of some of the issues we're looking at in oil and gas is this whole notion of full coverage insurance. That, and I just want to quote here that it was the president of Exxon Guyana who said that their CEO, whatever his portfolio is, who said that they have full coverage. Hence, it's the thing that's illusion you made there to the 2 billion. He says that we have the financial capacity to meet our responsibilities for an adverse event, and we are committed to paying all legitimate costs in the unlikely event
yes.
of an oil spill.
So here is the con job on that. All of that sounds good to the normal person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Lisa One didn't have anything. It says that Exxon, they will be self insured. Not Exxon, EPGL. Well, EPGL didn't have any assets. It was a newly formed limited liability company under Exxon, and that's the trick. And I dealt with them here in the U.S. When I was here, in my former job. These major companies would form these limited liability companies to insulate them from liability. By definition, that's what limited liability means. That's why it's called limited liability companies or
Mhm.
corporation. So they formed EPGL to undertake this thing in Guyana, or EPGL or SO, to undertake this exploration and development in Guyana. So what was written into the agreement? Well, that they could be self-insured. So they brought that self-insurance down, that's what was allowed in LIZA 1. So when LIZA 2 came to me now, when I said absolutely not. I said if we get a spill, who's gonna cover this? You know, well, because EPGL doesn't have a dime in assets because they hadn't produced a barrel of oil yet and
Yeah,
started,
yeah.
and that's where they're gonna start building their, whatever they,
And these
assets they
guys
have.
don't care about that. They don't care about it. As a matter of fact, you said that Lisa One permit is illegal without full coverage insurance. Illegal.
No, it's the LIZA 2.
Uh-huh.
So guess what I put into the LIZA 2? I put into the LIZA 2. I changed all that and I put in, and they agreed to it. So that's the part that's mind-boggling. First of all, when I brought it up, the guy went and he got this insurance, and they're denying it now. But I want for Rod Henson himself to come. I've challenged them to put Rod Henson, who was the former head of Exxon in Guyana, to come and deny that they did not go there and buy an insurance policy for it. Added up, I added the numbers to close to $2.5 billion. So when he came in to me, he said, "Well, here it is, Vince. We've got coverage." I said, "Wait a minute, are you kidding me?" I said, "Do you know what the British BP spill, the Macondo spill in the Gulf is running? 70 billion." I said, "Do you know what is Guyana's national budget? 2 to 3 billion. So you're telling me that Guyana with a national budget 2 to 3 billion is going to cover 68 billion?" I said, "You got to do better than this site." He said, "Well, what do you want me to do?" I said, "You got to go back and get parent company guarantee, meaning the big boys, Exxon, Sunok, and Hess have got to give us a guarantee that they will cover everything over and above."
Mm-hmm,
Well,
mm-hmm.
that was what's written into the LIZA 2 permit. 12 section clause 12.1 says, "Thou shalt go purchase insurance." I mean, that's exact words.
True,
Okay.
correct.
Section 12.3 says that the EPA will from time to time review that insurance policy to make sure that everything is kept up to date, and with a list of items, and they're paying their premiums. Do you know what section 12.5 says, Sharon?
Tell us
It
that.
says that anything over and above that insurance has to be carried by the parent company guarantee. So it was it's there already. And what had happened, so I signed the permit in 2019. Well, they begged me. They said, could you sign the permit for us? Of course, yes, they have to sign permit so that we can, our investors wouldn't get, we wouldn't they wouldn't lose confidence in us. But in any case, we are not starting operations until 2022. So to give us some time for the three parent companies to get together and decide, who's going to cover which part of the liability. So they had already agreed. My lawyers were meeting with them frequently. We were getting close to an agreement as to what was good for them when I left in 2020. And when I was about to leave, when I see that they were pussyfooting around, I warned them. I said, I am not signing off on the PIARA unless you come up with this agreement. Because you've already committed it. It's legal. You put it in the document. But now, don't think you're going to go ahead and start PIARA without, without showing it on paper. Now the final signature. They said, okay, we were getting close. They got rid of me in August, and in September they went ahead and signed off the PIARA anyway, including the language. But where it's illegal is when they started up the LIZA 2, even though it has the language, they started up the LIZA 2 in February of this year without the paperwork to support it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so they've now put that same language in LIZA 1. So now you've got two operations, LIZA 1 and LIZA 2, operating without a major requirement in the permit. And now they're coming up now, they're trying to bamboozle people with this $2 billion assurance. It comes with a new fancy word now, assurance. $2 billion assurance is nothing. So they're taking out the parent company is going to give you a $2 billion assurance. And then this stupid comment, which is what he's made already, which I've gone after him about, well, we're going to cover all legitimate costs. Explain to the people what is not legitimate to be covered as a cost in a spill. What is not legitimate, Mr. Rutledge? Explain to the people. And you're telling me the Macondo cost 70 billion, and you're telling me, well, okay, I'm going to cover you up to 2 billion, and then you're gonna even go further than that to say, well, we're good for anything that happens. Well, which is exactly what they were telling me, by the way, Sharon, that you know, when I was telling them that they've got to have full coverage, mean unlimited. As a matter of fact, I never used to call it full coverage. I call it unlimited
Correct.
liability coverage. You know what they told me? It's the same exact line that he's using. Well, we were Exxon, we would never walk away. So I told myself, okay, I'm glad to hear that. Put it in writing. If you're assuring us here that, well, hell, there's no way that I would walk away. Well, put it in writing that there's no way that you would walk away from any cost. You can't say you will never walk away, and then you're still defining or restricting the cost to legitimate cost. There's something wrong there. But these guys are allowed to get away with this nonsense. What is
Precisely.
2 billion assurance gonna get us when right now we have unlimited coverage written into the permit? And I don't know if it's true. They just don't care about what people think. They have the same language that I put into LIZA 2 for this insurance that I'm telling you about. They
Mm-hmm.
put it in. They put it in LIZA 1. Of course, they changed LIZA 1 to put it in, and they're bragging about it. And then they put it's also in all of the other permits, in Payaro, it's in Yellowtail, it's in all of the permits. But to them, it doesn't matter, it's just to hoodwink people and to make people fools. So when you and I go read it, or the general public, oh no, we've got coverage. Well, hell, where's the paperwork? If I was there, they would not have started up LIZA 2. And of course, I couldn't stop LIZA 1 because LIZA 1 permit says you didn't have a requirement for that. But now, with the opportunity to renew LIZA 1, LIZA 1 would have been in trouble without that documentation. And I guarantee you, Sharon, if we decide to put our feet down, Exxon will abide. Trust me,
Correct as
the
well.
same way they abided with my demand. They were threatening me, saying, well, we're going to bring in the president of Exxon to talk to the president of Guyana. I said, well, I told them, these were my exact words. You can bring in God. I ain't changing. You see that permit on my desk? It's not costing me anything. You have the incentive. to to satisfy the conditions that I want and to protect the people of Guyana.
Yeah.
So when it
Yeah.
comes, so it's all a big hoax. Um, that is go, and it's the thing is they have agreed to it, Sharon. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They have agreed
And
to
now
it
it's
all.
half
So
measures.
why do we back off of what they've already agreed to? So that's what this administration is about. In the past administration, they agreed to it. They were going along. They decided they were gonna, hey, you know what? And it's a reasonable request. It's a reasonable request. You just can't come and want to talk your way through this. Say, hey, something. If something happens, I would never leave it. I'm gonna take care of my responsibility. Well, what is
But
so
they like to shrug
difficult
the
about what?
responsibility, Dr. Adams. They love to shrug the responsibilities. Right?
Absolutely.
Kick the
Put it in
can
the
down the
right way.
road.
What's so difficult? Here's the other thing too, Sharon. Or the other thing that they put in the permit. They say um, they're going to monitor the sewage and water dump, and the EPGL will provide the report and provide safety case information, a bunch of fancy words that doesn't mean a damn thing. So
Mm-hmm.
EPGL is going to tell us what's happening on the ship.
Yeah.
You know what was the other thing? What was a major thing that we put in place too, Sharon, when I was there? I personally met with it so happened that one evening I ran into this lady who was in charge of the World Bank in Guyana. I ran into her. The ambassador, as a matter of fact, it was
Sophie
the
McCann.
ambassador
Sophie
to
McCann.
Brazil, the Brazil ambassador. He and I he introduced me to the head of the World Bank in Guyana. She and I met at the Marriott, and I begged her, I literally begged her for money to support DPA. She gave us $1 million. She and I sat down there and we said the most important thing is to organize DPA to run the oil and gas sector right now. I said, okay. I said, but we're gonna need technical staff that we don't have because nobody besides myself knows anything about petroleum. She went out, she got $1 million, a million US, and she brought in an export from Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
and that
Mm-hmm.
guy sat with us for a few months. We developed a Sortiman oil and gas unit at the EPA with position description, with the organization chart, the qualifications. And now we were going to go out to recruit these people when COVID hit, of course. But that organization is a big, thick document sitting at
Yeah.
EPA. You know what happened? As soon as I left, they dumped it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that 46-member staff would have been part of the staff that would have been on each of these ships
Working,
24/7
providing
to see
accountability.
exactly to monitor what's going on.
Yeah.
But now we're saying, well, okay, Exxon is going to tell us what's going on. Now, you tell me, we cannot even trust Exxon to implement what's on paper, to go out and get insurance and to get the guarantee that is on paper right now. And we're going to trust them to report. Here's what's happening, Sharon.
It's ludicrous.
Exxon is driving what is happening at the EPA. Exxon is telling them,
No
I can see
doubt.
it in the language. I can see it in the language. Like another thing they did, flaring.
But I
You
was
know,
coming
this
there. I was coming there. I'm happy you raised that point on flaring because persons have been asking that question as well. They're seeing a figure quoting. It seems like no, we're not trying to protect the environment, but once people pay, we good to go, which is madness. And we're
yes,
seeing here them
it
saying
is
that.
madness. So Harold,
Uh,
so here's the other thing.
tell us.
As soon as I left, they stuck a clause in there because remember when from day one when they started operating, the equipment was failing. So as a matter of fact, at one time I shut them down because I gave them enough time. They weren't fixing it. I shut them down. They repaired it, and as soon as I left, it went back bad again. So guess what they did? Now, without getting into all of the details, flaring exempts. You can flare during startup, because you got to test the equipment, etc. You can flare during emergency. If something happens, you're unexpected. There's gas in the system. You got to flare it, and then maintenance. While you're doing maintenance, you got to check out the equipment. But we're talking about a few hours. The
Yes.
United States law the United States regulation says that you could only flare at startup for 48 hours. But what had happened was when they started flaring initially, They were into months flaring, and when I was shutting them down, they said, "Well, no, we are still in the startup mode." I said, "Wait a minute, we are not fools. You're
We
producing at
big, but
maximum
we ship it.
capacity and selling on the market, and you're still in startup." So that got, and I went public with it, and they were embarrassed, so they changed that. So as soon as I left, now they're now trying to cover it on the maintenance because maintenance is exempt. So guess what's the clause they decide to go write into the permit? And I know the language, I know they wrote it because there's nobody at EPA who could write in that language.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
basically, what it says that as long, listen carefully to this, Sharon. I mean, they're really, playing us for fools. It says that as long as the gas handling equipment is in unplanned or planned maintenance, right? Flaring is allowed if flaring is occurring. Well, the only place you can flare is through the gas handling equipment. So they're saying now we're exempt totally when this equipment is not operating. We're exempt. Flaring
Wow.
is allowed.
Wow.
Flaring is allowed.
Wow.
Unlimited flaring
Madness.
is allowed because that's the only place you can flare. So they're saying, and you can
Madness.
only flare if something is wrong with the gas handling equipment. So they're saying, as long as you're flaring, you're you're exempt. So that's exactly what they. So here's the other part now that they're bragging about. Oh, we've raised this fee from 45 to $50 per ton of carbon dioxide. So let me explain this to you folks, and please listen. Really want people to pay attention to this, Sharon.
Tell us, Doc. Tell us.
Right now, the of course they used to flare a whole lot more, 15 million cubic feet of gas every day. And, now they're claiming that they're down to 4 million cubic feet of gas. So here's what these people have. This is the thing that really tick me off, Sharon, because I think I
Exit.
get upset when they believe that we're stupid. So this guy now he gets up there, Mr. Rutledge. He doesn't talk about flaring 4 million cubic feet. He said, "Well, we're only flaring 2 to 4% of what we're producing." Well, of course, 2 to 4% sound very small, right?
Yeah.
They're re-injecting
Yeah.
98%. Anybody would buy that. Oh, shucks. Well, you know what that converts to? Right now, their lowest level of flaring right now is 4 million cubic feet of gas per day. So here's the problem. Anybody, and this is what I've been challenging them to do, because every barrel of oil that comes up, every barrel from the LIZA 1 alone, I don't know what's happening in LIZA 2 and the rest, because they're not sharing information, which
Mm-hmm.
is the other problem. But anyway,
Yeah.
every barrel of oil that comes up, it brings up 1,000 cubic feet of gas, right? I mean, just, so if you want to stop flaring, which is 4 million cubic feet. All you've got to do is divide 4 million cubic feet of gas that you're flaring by 1,000 cubic feet, and you get 4,000 barrels. So if you reduce your production by 4,000 barrels per day, in LIZA 1, if you reduce it from 120,000 barrels per day to 116,000 barrels per day, there will be no flaring.
Hmm.
That accounts for your 4 million cubic feet of
Mm-hmm.
flaring of gas.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the problem. Here is the problem
Solves the
from
numbers.
their perspective. When you do that at today's oil price, 4,000 barrels per day results in you're losing. If you reduce your production by 4,000, you're losing $500,000 every single day. So now they're saying, so guess what? Guess what they're paying for that flaring? The reason why they're not reducing it, they're paying about, with this thing that they're bragging about, this $50 per ton, which is what the vice president goes out and bragging about, that well, we never charged before.
Yes. Yeah.
When you add up those numbers, where they come up to, Sharon, about
Tell us.
$12,000 per day. So here you're telling a company, hey buddy, all you've got to do is pay
And
$12,000
flare away.
to make half
Half
a
a
million.
million.
Flare
You're
away.
paying
That's
12,000
crazy.
to make half a million. Now you tell me, you're a businessman, who wouldn't jump on that? So it's an incentive to flare. It's not a deterrent, which is
Yeah.
flying in the face of all environmental regulation. They're allowing them to flare, to pay $12,000 a day so that they can make a half a million a day. And if you add it up, it's 180 million a year, while you're getting 4 million. So
The
who won't, and they're allowing Exxon. It's so Exxon will never go and do anything to their flaring equipment because it's an incentive to flare. You know, because they're gonna have to spend money to put in their equipment. So that's the other hoax that they're pulling on the Guyanese people and believe somehow that we're stupid. But so those are the kinds of things that Sherrod, and I could go on and on, but those are the kinds of things
the Guyanese people ought to know
that I
about.
cannot believe.
Yes,
But
yes.
Exxon is running the show.
Doc,
Without question, Exxon is running the show.
I have with me today somebody you may or may not know, a young lady you may or may not know. Judy Fernandez is in the studio with me, and Judy has a
Oh, one of
question
my
for you.
favorite people. I thought I
Oh,
heard.
you
Know that
you
I
not
know that
Rita? I
laughter.
said you
I
may or may
know
Hello.
that
not know.
laughter, and I suspected it would have been Tourette. Oh, hey, good. Well,
May or may not
nice
know.
having
Well,
you here.
Judy has a question because we've had some action on the ground with some of our fisher folk. Judy
yeah.
has a
Well,
question on that.
Yep.
Dr. Adams, and this is but this has been quite a master class and today because you're the expert, and I always say that when it comes to oil and gas, you're the expert. So when you started a discussion, I'm here, I'm sitting, I'm listening, I'm like, no, I'm not going to interject. I'm not going to interject. So I'm going to
That's
allow
making
the
me some notes.
master to teach, and
Uh,
so you did, but. More specifically, I didn't want us to have this discussion with us. Actually going back to a lot of what you said on some previous programs, and I'm speaking specifically here when it comes to the fisher folks and the fact that there
yes.
was this big announcement recently of $150,000 that will be given to them after the announcements that were made by the said administration said that, oh well, there's no evidence that what is going on there is actually
Yep.
affecting them, right? So, and I remember specifically you saying on several programs when you talk about the dumping and the temperature of what is being dumped into the rivers and so forth, the conclusion
Yep.
that one could easily draw when looking at all the facts that are being presented to us is that the environmental study should very well show that there is an impact. Whatever the magnitude of that impact, we can't determine or we cannot just assume. However, because no studies were done, you were very specific in saying that there is no baseline data for them to move
Yes.
off of. And now we're seeing this announcement about $150,000 being will be given to them. What are your thoughts on that altogether? Is it contradicting the fact that they have announced that there is nothing affecting them from the oil and gas activities happening there and all of that?
Well, of course, again, this is not a modus operandi of the current government. As soon as something happens, money is being paid out to keep people quiet. We see it with
Mm-hmm.
rice, we saw it with sugar, we now seeing it with the fisher folks, and you guys have a longer list than I have. But those three come to mind. So here again, the fisher is an attempt to keep these folks quiet who have legitimate concerns, by the way. Um, and as I said before, as you rightly um, you know explained, I've said before, I have nobody, as a matter of fact, has done any studies whatsoever. And if I had my judges, that was one of the first thing I would have been jumping on right now, is to do a detailed environmental impact scientific based study.
Yeah.
I When you have water, and here's another thing that people need to listen to. You have water, temperature that is, well, first of all, produce water. The water, when in addition to the gas that every barrel brings up, there's water that comes up with it. Initially, the water is not a whole lot. Like on the LIZA one, I think it might, I don't know what it is right now, but maybe 10,000 barrels per day, but is going to increase to about 100,000 barrels per day sometime in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So while the oil reduces, the water will reduce because it's total liquids when you add up the two. So as oil reduces with age of the reservoir, the water will reduce. But this water that comes out of this reservoir, Jarrett, this water
Mm-hmm.
is highly toxic. And not only does it have things like lead, mercury, barium, just name, you know, just name the elements. It has also radioactivity,
Wow.
naturally occurring
Wow.
radioactivity. So the international standard, the World Bank standard says the water has to be re-injected back into the reservoir. It's I worked in when I worked in our industry. That's why I was kind of shocked that we were allowing, when I came and we were allowing them to be dumping the water, because it, there's no other option you have. You have to re-inject it back into the reservoir, because first of all it keeps up, besides the getting rid of the environmental concerns,
Mm-hmm.
it keeps the reservoir pressure high to maintain your production rate. So you need to re-inject that. You know, both the gas and the water does the same thing when you re-inject it to maintain the pressure. But here's the insane thing that they're allowed to do and get away with. They're dumping that contaminated water. Oh, by the way, they hit the temperature of that water when they dump it. It's about it's like 55 degrees C. Seawater is about 20 degrees C. So you're almost three times hotter. But on top of that, and then I hear again the vice president, I don't expect the vice president, technical stuff. So he might just have been misinformed or ill advised. The vice president said, "Well, this is the first time we're treating the water." Well, that's BS, because the only thing, first of all, the only thing that you're treating is to remove some of the oil, not all of the oil. As a matter of fact, the permit says that they can dump water with a concentration of what is called, if you read the permit, it says 29 to 42 milligrams per liter concentration. All that means, for every million barrels of oil, of water that you dump into the ocean, it has 29 to 42 barrels of oil.
Mm-hmm.
So just think about it now. Over the life of the field, calculate those numbers: 29 to 42 barrels of oil, pure oil, is in every single million barrels of water you dump. Over the life of the field, you're going to be dumping billions of barrels of water. So you're going to end up with hundreds of thousands of pure, hundreds of thousands of barrels of pure oil is going to be dumped into the ocean. Okay?
Wow.
I don't know how much has
Just
been
wow.
dumped to date. I
Just
know the
wow.
temperature is high, so that water has a concentration. So when you hear the vice president say water is being treated, all that other stuff I tell you about, the toxic and radioactive, it's not being treated for that. All they do, they take it through an oil water separator, and you know that oil floats to the top, water goes to the bottom. So that's the basic tenet of that treatment. So it's just oil and water, but the oil is still allowed to have that constant. The water
Mm-hmm.
before dumping is still allowed to have that concentration. So here's the crazy thing, bro. So they're, instead of re-injecting the water, because remember here again now, they need the water to re-inject into the reservoir to maintain the pressure. So they're dumping the reservoir water, and guess which water they're using to re-inject? The seawater.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So they're
Wow.
using the clean seawater to re-inject, and they're dumping the dirty reservoir water. So when I first realized what was going on, I raised the question. They say, well, the water is incompatible with the reservoir, which
Well,
means,
well, well.
so I said, wait a minute, it's not compatible with the source that it came from, and then you're using a foreign source of seawater and it's going to be compatible with that. I said, this is nonsense. I said, show me your study. Well, they went out and they copied from some textbook a bunch of equations, and all of this is in the record of the EPA. And when it came into me, I dumped it and I said, hey, you know what? When I used to teach this stuff, if you guys brought, you would have gotten an F minus. I told Exxon that. I said, you better go and get and come back and do something
FS.
that is credible, and it shows as if you ever been to school and learned, and did petroleum engineering or science. So guess what I did? So I went and I did, within a couple of hours, I did my own research on data that was already published, and it's nothing of the sort. It has no effect on the data that existed. So when I left, now they were supposed to come back with the report. I'm not even sure if they did, but apparently they did not. So when I asked them now, I said, "So what's the big deal here?" They said, "Well, equipment to re-inject the water is going to cost like 300 million," which I doubted. But in any case, 300, I said, "But 300 million is a drop in the bucket. You guys are making hundreds of billions of dollars. Are
Correct.
you telling me that
Correct.
Guyanese lives
Yeah.
and health and the environment is not worth $300 million?" So again, this here is all about money. And
Correct.
you know something, Jarrett and Sharon, I really don't blame, and I'm not mad at Exxon. I get, ticked off with them sometimes. But Exxon is only doing what we are allowing them to do.
Ah, that's the crux of the matter, dog. That's the crux of the matter
How
right
come
there.
they couldn't be? How come, they when I was there? How come they couldn't be? Look, you remember, guys. You remember I was very controversial. I was in the newspapers every day because I was taking some strong positions. You remember I shut down the two largest mining companies in Guyana. You
Yep,
remember
yep,
that?
yep, yep.
Shut them down.
You
Shut
tell
down.
them don't
Exxon
chinks,
had
come
to shut.
fulls.
And what what happened after that? Everybody started complying. So Exxon is getting away with what the government. Our
Allowance.
job
Yeah,
as
yeah.
Exxon job is to make as much money as they want, so we can follow their objective. But the government of Guyana's job is to make sure that they do it legally and in the interest. The government should be protecting the interest of the people, and that is what they're not doing. So this water dumping. But here's the other part: the government went against its own technical people and agencies. When we were looking at the dumping of the water and flaring, when we were doing the Payaro, we went through. We had a meeting in Houston because the Payaro was the first project that I was there from start when I
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
almost finished.
mm-hmm.
But so we had we spent like several days in Houston going over their field development plan, and that was under the control of the Department of Energy, Dr. Bino. So he had his staff, I had mine. I was there myself, and I ran them through the ringers, with the same question of water dumping and flaring.
Mm-hmm.
So when during 2020 now, when there was a transition to government, this same government, the TPPC, went out and got this lady from Canada. What's her name? Red,
Redford.
uh, Redford, right?
Redford.
They
Mm-hmm.
brought her in because they thought that we were going slow, but we weren't going slow. We were just making sure that it was done right. Well,
And we
she
still
came in.
waiting for her report to be made public.
Oh well, yeah, exactly. So I'm getting. So she came in. We formed a team. It was the Department of Energy under Dr. Bino. It was the GGMC technical folks. It was the EPA with myself and my folks, and Miss Redford and our people. And we agreed unanimously. As a matter of fact, Miss Redford was even more adamant than I was that there shall be no water dumping and no flaring. She was even more adamant than I was.
Yeah, yeah.
We wrote it into the documents. We even met with Exxon and told them, I don't care what you say, this is what it shall be. We had made that agreement, the technical people and all of the agencies. And lo and behold, when I left in August, that was the position of
Wow.
our situation. And lo and
Wow.
behold, shocking to me, and I'm sure everybody, in September I left in August, and 1 month after they went ahead anyway, and permitted the operation without those conditions, without the water dumping, and without stopping the flaring. So I want to know, I'm like you, Sharon, and I'm sure everybody wants to see that report
Mm-hmm.
to see if the position of that team had changed,
Yeah.
or if what's in that report and the government just went against that recommendation. That's
Definitely.
everybody. And then they're talking about, so that should be the first thing on the list, by the way, Sharon, with this new thing that they put
Yep.
into LIZA one. What do they call it? Um, Let me see if
I
I
don't want to get
find
my
it.
terminologies wrong. We're going to
Oh,
leave it to the
is the
experts.
project is the project community grievance
Oh,
mechanism. So now
that's
that
what.
means that anybody could call in and ask questions or complain. Well, let's start with that, Sharon.
Yeah,
Let them provide the report. Let's start with that.
yeah. Yeah,
Let
definitely.
them provide the report that team did. Let them start with that.
That's a good place to start, Zeni. Dr. Vincent Adams, Doc, we can't finish this topic in an hour because the oil and gas sector is so vast. There's so many facets
Yeah,
of
it
it.
is. It is. It is.
There are still a lot of oil and gas issues that are outstanding. For instance, Doc, if you just give me a second, there are a number of
Sure.
things that we didn't talk about. The administration promised a petroleum commission. We're still waiting on that. They
Yes.
promised
Yes.
a local content secretariat. We're still waiting on that. And you name it. Things to really and truly bolster what is happening in the sector. And we know the Natural Resources Fund board, they've just been installed. We didn't hear from them yet, and money
Yep.
spending being
Yep.
withdrawn
Yep. Yep.
and all of that. So a lot of things to discuss, Doc, and we must have you back sometime. You are the expert here, and when you speak, we sit quietly and we take notes.
Hey, but just since you mentioned the NRF, here's that. You remember I mentioned before that they're all about money. Forget about screw the environment and health and safety of people. Even even to spend the money, they don't want anybody else involved.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
when they didn't want no, even though it was required that the opposition nominate people
Yeah.
and have people.
They pick the
You
person
remember
and
what
say
happened?
he's opposition.
Oh, absolutely. They said
That's the
no.
man.
That
That's the
it was
man.
supposed.
Mr.
No, they
Barrow, they
don't
pick
want
Mr.
me.
Barrow and say
They
he's
don't want
opposition.
me. They don't want
Yes.
Christopher Ram. They don't want anybody as long as he comes from the opposition.
Yeah.
They want to be in control of that money. And the other thing, even when I talk about just violating the laws in their own documents, even the gas to shore project, and Sharon, you and Jaretta know we're all in favor of oil and gas. We don't want we want the country to become rich, but it has to be done legally
Correct.
and it has to be done protective of the people's
That's the crux
health
of the matter.
and safety and well-being. That's all we're asking for. I don't know what's so hard about it, and we would still make a whole lot of money. As a matter of fact, we would even make more money because I'm telling you, we if we have a disaster, this year would be all over. So we're being, like they say, penny wise and pound foolish.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
we need to take care. Do it up front. Is either or the other thing is besides penny wise and pound, is either you pay me now or you pay me later.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
believe that's what's going to happen with us down the road. It's going to cost us a lot if we do not invest in putting up those barriers to make sure that we do not have a disaster. Even the pipeline. Look how these people are just, they don't care about the law. The pipeline, within the agreement itself for that pipeline, for that excess gas go to shore, it says before you could build any pipeline or construct any facility, you must have a feasibility study.
Mm-hmm. Them boys in
It
K.
says that I think it's under section 12. It says that you must have a feasibility study, and up to now
Mm-hmm.
there's no feasibility study. So
That makes
these are the
sense.
kinds of things that they try to they get on TV and stuff and they point out, oh, here is what we're putting in here and here's what we're putting in there. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they put in the permits in regulation. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. It's just lawlessness that they're not following it. So that is the problem more than anything else. It's them not sticking, or they're just using it as a con job and a
Yeah.
hoax to
Yeah.
fool the people.
That is
Yeah.
true. I'm following I'm
Very
following
well
in the
done.
comment section, and I'm seeing persons are saying we have to take this advice that first of all everybody is thanking Dr. Adams for the information he's bringing, but I know one particular comment that I'm reading coming from Althea Joe, and she's saying, Sherrod, whenever Dr. Adams is coming again on the Below the Belt, please give us a heads up prior on the In the Ring, please and thank you. So persons are saying that this is too important that they can't be coming on late in the middle of
Yes.
this
But they could
discussion.
always go back and listen
So
to it too.
so they want to make sure that they get
Yeah,
a heads up.
definitely. That's why we say you must come
Masterclass.
back. You must come back because
Masterclass.
there's so much to discuss on this topic, and we don't focus on it near enough. As a matter of fact, we didn't get to talk about the IRI poll, which suggests that 98% of Guyanese don't know what's happening in the oil and gas
Correct.
sector.
Yes.
And so
Yep.
we want to definitely focus on it some more so that folks understand what is at stake here and why and why they should be a certain course of action. Doc, thank you so much
Yeah,
for giving us some time from that
yeah, man,
graduation.
we gotta have a longer time, Sharon. And this is my passion
Yes.
to bring the people up to speed with stuff because everything that everything that I have gained, I've said this over and over, is because of the grounding
Yeah, yeah,
of what I got in Guyana. I had a free education, never paid a dime. I grew up in a very poor community in Christianborg, Linden. And I
Yeah.
want every single kid in Guyana to get the same opportunity and not be taken advantage of by these big mega corporations that come in. We welcome them, but they've got to, one of my rules that I laid down when I just arrived, the same Exxon I brought them to the table. They and the foreign mining companies, I said, let me tell y'all something, because I know that they had researched where it came from. I said, well, you know that where it came from. I said, I will not accept anything less than what you have to abide with in your countries,
yes,
your
fantastic.
developed countries
Yes,
in the United States. And I warned them. I said, I came from the United States. I used to be on the regulatory side. I used to be in government at the highest level. And so what are my requirements, and I'm going to use that as the standard unless you guys can convince me otherwise. And that was how they couldn't that's how. And here's the other thing, Cheryl. The most important thing that happened that is not happening now is the total opposite. Was that President Granger was technically my minister, but then you had Joe Harmon who ran his shop for him as the minister of state. And those guys never one day interfered with all the controversy and all the major decisions that I was making, shutting down big major companies when they weren't complying. Those guys never called me one day and told me to stop it. Never.
wow, that's refreshing.
Never
That's
one
refreshing.
day
I highly
call
doubt
me.
Cameras Pashram can say the same thing.
No, but it's the
Pashram
complete
Cameras.
opposite.
Yeah.
I'm getting reports from folks at the EPA where people are calling them, ministers and officials are calling the officers direct and telling them about, well, where is this permit, and make sure you get it out to this person.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
that's what's going on. It's totally politicized. People have just left some of the best technical people
Wow.
that came on when I hired them, and even before, because when I got there, when I regained respectability to the agency, if we had our doors were being knocked down for people to come in, everybody wanted to come in, so we were
Wow.
getting the best people. And then as soon as I left, and this politicization of everything, those who weren't getting fired, some of the top technical people just left, just just walked out,
Wow.
because
Sad. Because that's
the
our loss as a
agency is.
nation. That's
Oh,
our loss as a nation.
absolutely. It's totally, so that's what's going on, man. That's what's going on. So we back to where we started. That's what they tell me all the time. They back to where they started when I was, before I got there, when we were dysfunctional. We They said we were a tiger without teeth, and all those derogatory things, and all that respectability. The public finally started respecting us, and now it's gone back to where.
Back
Let
to
me tell
square
you, it
one.
hurts when I read
It's
Back to
when I
square
worse.
one.
read what people writes about the EPA now in the newspapers every day. Nope, nothing positive about the EPA. It
Mm,
hurts.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can
yeah.
understand that. Doc, please come back again soon. Say hello to all the folks in Chicago for us. It's been a real privilege
Definitely,
having you guys
definitely.
today.
That is,
Hey,
it's
appreciate it.
so lovely to have you with us. I have to say it again, everyone is very appreciative of the information that you bring to us. And when I speak every single program, I speak about the fact that the experts are being removed and political cronies are being put in place at every level, each department. It's very, very sad. So the outcome of those departments, bodies cannot function as they ought to, because the technical expertise is being removed, and there's no other better example than you yourself, and Dr.
Yeah,
Adams being the technical expert
yeah.
that was attached to the
Sadly so.
EPA.
Sadly so.
So you're a shining example of what we're talking about on a daily basis, but we have a lot of work to do, and definitely need you to come back and to add more
Definitely.
context and discussions to everything that's going on. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Stay safe, Doc.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Jeressa and Sherrod, and thanks, people.
Have a great day. Thanks, sir.
All right, good. Take care. Bye.
Folks, that's our program. That's our time today. Got to get you valid and credible information. Got to get you the experts, the personalities, the people who know, folks. Good to see Gloria Gordon. Good to see Yvonne Ramasar. Good to see Terry Baskin Greenwich. Good to see Lizzie Simon and Vanda Benjamin Fardy. Good to see you, Roxanne Aaron. Good to see all of you fantastic. Daphne Aaron, David Wood, Marilyn Thomas. Good to see you guys. Share the damn live stream. Smash the emoji button for us. Partner with us too, folks, so we can keep the lights on and we can keep the doors open. You know what that means? You know what that means?
That's right.
We gotta do what we gotta do. Boots on the ground, pace and power, guys. Pace and power. We'll see you guys back this evening at 8. And so looking forward to that, our final program for the week. Pace and power. Glad to have you here with us, guys. Take care now. Share the damn live stream. Smash the emoji button, Marilyn Thomas. Temple Clark. Smash the emoji button, Carol Jacobs. Gwyneth Anderson. Stay safe, guys.
Have a good weekend, guys. Have a blessed weekend. Bye.